Hold on one
All
second.
right. Right.
Paradoxically, there is no ego to get rid of.
I know that already.
Right. But once those ideas
Exactly.
of I have an ego, I have something that's malice or against God or against
Right.
totality. Once
And
that
then
whole
that
idea or story's
belief,
gone, yeah.
exactly. And then because like as long as I hold on to the belief that there is an ego, then there's a chase to get rid of it.
Right.
So there's like,
But life is appearing as an ego or a person. There really is no me. There is no separate self. So it's like these ideas of how you're supposed to be as an enlightened being. It's absolute bullshit.
Yeah, you should
it's nonsense.
and you should be meditating and you shouldn't curse and all these ideas.
Yes, and there's nothing wrong with meditation. There's nothing wrong with yoga. There's literally nothing wrong with anything. It is what it is.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's so beautiful.
Yeah. So thanks, Faiza. It's a beautiful entry point into this. There's no ego, folks. There's no me. Right. There's no separate self. There's just these beautiful expressions, myriads of expressions from one singular source. That singular source cannot be defined, but it's appearing as this. It didn't come from somewhere. It's not going anywhere. This is a timeless appearance. However, time does appear in this. Right. And even though you, let's say, seen through the separation, no one sees through it. The mind doesn't see through this. But once it's seen through, there's no separate self. There is actually no separation. The show still goes on. There's still a lucid dream. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what many people like are trying to say, that once you do that, that life is going to change, everything's going to change. And it's like, the more and more I come home to myself and my being, and I just stay anchored in that without having any ideas or any reference to past, the lighter I feel. There's no weight. There's no like, I need to get rid of this. I was late. It's like, I wasn't late. It's just happening. So basically, it's not like I was late. That I is the fake one, which is just a thought.
Right. Because there's nothing wrong with being late. It's just what's happening. Right. But the judgment, the guilt and shame arises when you shouldn't have been. Right. So it's like basically the sticky little position of this should be different collapses. And then there's just this, which I got to say, Faiza, there's no formula for this. So things can appear to transform, meaning obviously if the character is no longer driven by neurosis or insecurity, there can be a sense of relaxation and no longer trying to people please.
Yes, exactly.
Which can feel like, oh my God, I'm not carrying the world anymore. Yeah.
Right. The whole chase is basically the stuckness with trying to be loved, trying to be seen, trying to just, and the point is like, all you're really trying to do is just be. And like people can't really do that. It's so simple because you are already. So it's not, you can't try to be, because that is also an idea. You are already being.
Yeah, this is already being human.
Exactly.
But the dream is I'm human and I'm trying to find being. Right. And it just collapses. And then there's the natural character, because we're speaking about naturalness, authenticity. So if we can change the word enlightenment to organic, it takes so much pressure off.
Natural. Exactly. That is the pressure. Like when people like on the search to enlightenment. Yeah. Why am I not? I don't feel anything right now. I don't feel different. I'm trying, because I'm trying to also help like people I know into, not try to wake them up or anything.
But no one can be woken up. That's for sure. Because no one's asleep. How do we do that? Yeah.
Exactly. Just trying to get them into the center of their being and realizing that there is
no center. We're literally like a donut. There's no center. Exactly. So that's still a directive, sister. I gotta say, no one can find their center because there isn't one. That's why teachers don't work.
Exactly.
Yeah. It can't. This is intuitive. It's innate. It's primal.
You can't really find it either. There's nothing to find.
How does the pupil look at the eyeball? Exactly. We're screwed. Exactly. It's already this. Yeah, man.
Already.
But beautifully, if seeking continues, if a teacher-student relationship appears, if I need to go to India arises, so what?
That's
freedom of That's freedom appearing as that. Yeah. Until it's realized nothing is actually needed for this. Yeah.
It's so simple yet complicated for the thing you identify at this moment with the mind. And because yesterday I had a small, my boyfriend you just met with argument, and I told him that he was frustrated and everything because he's also on the path, and we watch a lot of your videos together, but right now he's doing laundry and taking care of my young daughter. And I told him that just be still and realize that there is no problem, because he was thinking, yeah, I need to this and it's that and it is all this stress. And I just try to show him the way that there really isn't a problem. Just try and see where is the problem. Tell me what I try to mostly convey to him is just what is wrong with this moment. What's wrong with this moment? Why can you not be here?
The mind never can, right? Exactly. As long as there's a contraction,
so I try to convey to him that all the struggles and suffering you go through and anxiety, all of this is going on because you're not living in your heart. You're living in your mind, and the mind.
Well, there's no chooser. There's no free will and choice, though. So he's not choosing to do that.
Exactly. But he is still identifying strongly with that, and he suffers and in all these contractions and stuff like that. But that's okay too.
Oh my God, yeah, because that's the beloved.
Right. Yeah. But as long as we
ends when it
don't
ends.
feel that. Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, just there's nothing really to do.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, doing appears, but there's nothing to do to get closer to this, because there's only this appearing as a that.
Exactly. So much wisdom and love in these words, Anna.
You hear you, friend. But this was beautiful. Thank you. And so as a spin-off into this, or a little segue, because we usually start with an intro, but today we started right into questions. So we're just going to keep flowing in this intuitive ping pong here. If anyone has questions or wants to express anything, just like Faiz is doing, please feel free. Or questions aren't needed either. There can be silence. Okay. So. And in case you joined after we hit the record, and if you're new, you can unmute yourself, turn on or off your camera, or you can use the chat box if you'd like to remain anonymous. It really is this simple. It's just sitting on the chair. But if you're there, you're sitting on the chair. And it's either not good enough, or, you should be doing something else. But this is aliveness. All of this is aliveness appearing as this. And it can be comfortable or uncomfortable. We're not selling a certain state here. That would be religion or spirituality. We're just pointing to the mystery that's appearing as all of this. You're not who you think you are. But even if there's a picture painted of who you think you are, that's freedom appearing as a limitation or a story. So what? T.
Hey, good morning, Anna. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I just had a quick question for you, and it's about kind of waking states that I'm trying to identify. And I guess it's connected to meditation, and I was trying to figure out which is which. And there's a state you know, in your waking time, when you feel that you're present and that, or there's some presence there that can be identified. And then there's periods where that presence isn't there. And that's usually, at least for me anyway, when I've become inadvertently attached to a thought. So, you know, and just because I happen to choose to meditate, or meditation happens here, I can see the difference between those two, but I don't know, is that normal? Is that just, is even in your experience, or does that happen to you?
Well, I wouldn't say nothing happens to me, and I wouldn't call it an experience, because experience can be sticky. Of I'm experiencing something like a state,
Okay.
and
Yep.
states, don't last. So sometimes when we hear the word like awareness or presence or observation, the looking at thoughts and stuff is also the mind fractalized off into a separate self, so to speak, where it's observing. Right. So it's a phase. Some beings will start here, you could say. They go into a detachment, or like a self-inquiry, and they're observing a lot of things that you would say is like a portal. It doesn't always arise for everyone. It arose here. There's no formula to this, but it can seem there's a pullback. That's not it either, though. That's still a appearance of the separate self looking, feels like I'm not this, but this feels better. It's a detachment. This collapses into a seamlessness where it's almost like you've gone back into body, in a sense, but there's not stickiness with the thoughts. So anything can arise. There's no longer, pull back, watch that thought. Okay, it's gone. That doesn't happen. There's a relaxedness with it. So anything can appear, memories, imaginations, thoughts, old beliefs. There's nobody who needs to investigate them like Sherlock Holmes. That collapses.
And what you described there with the detachment, is that what's commonly referred to as the witness state, or could be referred to as the witness state?
Yeah, or self-inquiry, or the observer.
Okay, and then the next part to that question is about free will, and the more closer I seem to examine it, the more I seem to arrive at the conclusion that actually, if I don't do anything, the body just seems to take care of itself.
Yeah, man.
And
yeah.
And I think there was one half day a couple of weeks ago, and it never happened to me before. And in that half day, I went through a whole morning of routine, and I kind of wasn't there.
Yeah.
And the surprising part was I was in meetings at work, and that's not normally the kind of area where you wouldn't be party to. So if that's the case, then are we really doing anything?
No, man. This is already spontaneous. You're already, so to speak, being done. There's already no choice. The dream is this, like a filter that goes, oh, did I make the right choice? Am I dressed okay? Is my posture okay? Because an enlightened being really has great posture, right? There's like this rule book that we're trying to like literally live by, or like a measuring stick we're measuring ourselves by every day. That collapses, and then there's just spontaneousness, which can be cracking a joke, scratching the head, eating potato chips, whatever is arising. And that's already what's happening. What drops is the commentary.
So then we're kind of an extra bolt-on to what's already happening. But that's normal too?
Oh, of course, because even the narrative or the commentary of, oh, you shouldn't have done that, or you could have done that better, all of that noise is the beloved appearing as noise. But all of that noise, so to speak, is coming out of the bag of belief systems that were hand-me-downs from mommy and poppy and nana and communities. That collapses because it's illusory. Nobody knows what this is.
So all this happening is just whatever's gonna occur is just continuing to occur, and the one that's analyzing it and causing all that friction or resistance or grief or whatever we want to call it, that's just part of it.
I mean, there is literally only wholeness. But when we've been living on a spiritual religious path, divinity only looks like this, tastes like this, and feels like this. Oneness is everything. Let's look at nature. It is wild. It can be chaotic. It can be fearful, destructive. But it seems like we like to highlight the gooey, soft. You know what I mean? But we're talking about totality, which can appear as destruction or as renewal, celebration. It can appear as anything. It's free.
Thank you. And just one final follow-up here, and I don't want to occupy everyone's time. Did you ever have any experience with, there's a lot of talk about an inner voice or an inner guru or anything like that? I mean, is there anything you can speak on about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, in the story of Anna, there was a deep intuition that no authority or teacher or truly anybody could tell me who I was or what this was. There was an innate rebellion. Okay. But I was raised Catholic, and due to conditioning, okay, of the character, so to speak, unworthiness seemed to compel this one to follow the leader and go through like modalities and therapies, even though in my heart, I intuitively knew heaven was this. And it was so simple. It had to be. It had to be. Because at the age of 7, there was an apparent glimpse where the whole person collapsed, and it was so simple, so easy. Of course, this is it. But due to conditioning and seeking beliefs, oh no, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. And that collapsed. All of this is what you would say good enough, or it's just, it is itself, which doesn't need a good or a bad. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Anna. I appreciate you answering the questions.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Steve. Ramon asks, what if irritation consistently arises, which makes me feel like I naturally need to find a cause to alleviate the tension, not always come off as a jerk? So, Ramon, if one feels separate, that character will be driven to meditate, maybe therapies, any kind of sense of alleviation of the pain and of the sense of seeking. They call that the band-aids, right? Making your apparent prison cell more comfortable until it's seen you're not even in a prison. No one's actually trapped. But that this can't be taught. It's heard when it's heard. That's why Jesus said, for those who have ears to hear, let them hear. Because beingness is here now. Literally, guys, we cannot even have this conversation without the eternal light. That's why I mean we're screwed. This cannot even appear without what you're calling God. There is only that. But if there is irritation, there may be a compelling to, go do yoga, go on a run. I can't say what that character will be driven to, but there's nothing wrong with irritation. But there may be a position in there that goes, irritation should not be arising. It's not okay. It's meaning something about this. It says something about that. If I was truly enlightened, irritation would not appear. But every sensation is an invitation to see this too, this too. Because the mind always wants to cut. No, has hierarchies. It collapses. Everything and anything is it. But what seems to stop arising, of course, is intense neurosis. When it's seen through, there's not a particular way to be. Because sometimes irritation can seem to arise because we're just trying to be some statue, some fake figure, It's like trying to turn an evergreen tree into a weeping willow. It just doesn't make sense. So irritation arises. It's okay, so what? Doesn't say anything about who you are. It's a sensation. And it's empty at its core. It's like vapor. Everything passes. Nothing lasts. Neo, go ahead, my friend.
Hey, Anna, how are you?
Doing good, friend. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. So, Anna, my question is more about, I guess, more related to being in the world. Now, seemingly within my own story, as I've been slowly sort of, I guess, coming out of that sort of desert period and living a more sort of social life back again, one of the things that you always encounter is, you're still being showered with people's beliefs, opinions, problems. Right now, most of the time, conversations like aren't really a big challenge, like personal conversations. But I think where it starts to, or where I don't even know if there's a question here, but it was just like an observance that I've had is when when you're discussing these sensitive topics like around like philosophy, religion, or anything like that. I mean, when you've already like seen through a lot of that, right, and you're already comfortable with that. I remember in my, previously there used to be so much like fight to like change people's opinions or have them see your way or make them see things a certain way. But these days it's like when you encounter that, it's like, oh, okay, like whatever, man, like you can go ahead, like you can believe whatever you want. It's not a big deal. So I guess I don't know if there's no really question or any judgment on that, but I was just curious maybe on your like own experience, like when you go out there and like these things do sort of come up within for you, like how does that
I gotta say, so I don't speak like this outside of the space or session space. So it's very much chop wood, carry water, very normal, unless someone comes up and it asks. Then it's like, well, there's an opening, obviously, but there's no like knocking on doors or, hey, have you read this book or have you heard about this? Unless there's an opening or someone has a question, right? But of course, there's going to be beings with all their beliefs and all of that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's still a play of light. Chop wood, carry water. But I got to say, let's say the tension of trying to change others to wake up or to see a certain way totally collapsed because it was rooted in this is imperfect. It was rooted in an imperfect position, and this is all perfection arising, including the position of you're imperfect and you should change so I can feel okay. Yeah. And that's codependency. That falls away. And like you said, everyone is allowed to make their sand castles, because that's all beliefs are, is like sand. It's totally ephemeral. It's nonsense. It's going to collapse. Okay. And so it's just it's like playing with their sand castles. Let it be. It doesn't last. It can't. Beliefs are lies.
No, that was kind of my experience as well, where it's just like you're not, you don't have that anxiety anymore, or that
totally
really drive to or really having like any position,
but I gotta say, Neo, though, what could happen too, though, if there's a conversation and someone's dramatic gossiping, let's say, there can be the character gets up and just walks away. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean you're just a doormat and you just listen to everyone's problems, so to speak. There can be like, wow, not resonating. Peace out.
Oh,
you know
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like, I don't think you just have to be like a silent, participant, right? Like, I mean, if you feel like strongly about something, it's like something can arise and, you can start to just challenge that, challenge it, right?
Sure. So disagreements can totally arise. I mean, that's already what's happening anyways. There can be disagreements and preferences and all of that. But what stops is the I'm right, you're wrong. That whole real intense position of I've got the truth and you don't, there is no final truth.
Exactly. Anyways, like there was just like something that was coming up, and I just wanted to
that's beautiful. There is a relaxation where there's kind of like screw it, it's okay, simpleness. Beautiful.
Cool. Thanks, Anna.
Thanks, Neo.
Hey, Anna, it's Katie.
Oh, hey, Katie.
Hi. The nothing lasts. Here, that feels like almost like a resistance of what is. When those words, nothing, like something comes up that is uncomfortable. And so the words nothing lasts can pop in, but that feels like a not honoring of what is now, trying to resist what is now. And then hope can come in. Oh, well, I hope this will go away. Nothing lasts.
Oh, yeah. So as long as the mind is listening, they're going to turn this into a teaching or a mantra. But nothing does last. I mean, nothing's connected.
Right.
What we're saying now is no connection to 5 minutes ago. There wasn't even a 5 minutes ago. So how could anything last if it's not actually real? But the mind thinks everything's real and concrete. So it'll take this as a teaching or a mantra. And then if something arises like pain, it'll go, nothing lasts, which could seem to create a Band-Aid. But the mantra doesn't even need to arise. It could, but pain can appear, but there's no one who needs to have a relationship with the pain. Like, let's talk to it, right? Let's create a story around it, like time's not real. All of that collapses into a simpleness where pain can arise and there can be crying, but there's no need for the mind to go, this isn't going to last. It's going to pass, because there's someone there who's in doubt. We're talking about the end of doubt.
So When pain arises there, the mind isn't even coming, the mind's not telling any story about it. There is no story about it, because that's just made up too.
But there could be getting a hot pad or taking Tylenol.
Sure. Right.
Totally. Totally.
But there's no narrative about the pain and blah, 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 blah.
Right, right. Or let's say there could be, let's say, an old dialogue. Maybe like the old dialogue of the character was to go into pessimism about it, or worry or anxiety. Let's say the old record comes up, no one's buying it. So it can kind of play and have some momentum, but it'll fizzle out because it's like, oh my God, what is that? You know?
Right.
Yeah.
The illusion has already been.
Yeah, you can just see,
that, the lie, that belief has already been realized. And then can you also talk about hope? Because when nothing lasts comes up, you know, well, I hope this will go away. And I don't like hope. It just doesn't feel genuine.
Yeah. Well, hope's about something else. It's a beggar, right? And religion and spirituality really are wrapped around hope about tomorrow, or, you know, things are going to get better, but this is about what is. What's here now, because hope is always rooted in time, which is that filter or that shroud that seems to make this all gray and boring. When that hope collapses, this is it. It's full on, it's vibrant, it's for no one, which means, I mean, you don't even know if your next breath is going to happen, but that's carpe diem. And this doesn't mean like mania that could appear, but it's meaning like, wow, the coffee is the first coffee I've ever had, so to speak. Like everything is very alive. It doesn't mean you just check out. It's a full into life, being with the babies, being with the food, or right here, right now, this conversation. There is only this conversation. There is only Katie appearing here. What the mind has is, oh, there's a world outside of here. There's my relatives, there's all these people. No, that collapses pinpoint. This is the whole ocean in a drop. Now, of course, this can appear as something else. As when this is over, walking into the home, that's an appearance. It arises as that. The floor appears as you're walking, so to speak. It wasn't there before. The mind says it was there before. That's why this is not logical or practical, utterly intuitive. And it sounds wacky, but something within us hears this and it's like, oh my God, this is just a permission slip. I already know this.
Yeah.
Thanks, Katie.
Thanks.
All right, got a question here. These days, do you find arising there are any periods of what an observer seeing it might call meditation occurring? You could say there's just meditation, but no one's meditating. If a person's meditating or the mind is meditating, it's trying to find something. You could just say meditation is just what's natural. It's just the seamless seeing. That's not personal.
Hi, Anna. It's Rasha. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good. You're looking radiant as always.
Oh, thank you. Are you on a different Zoom today?
Does it have a different name?
It sure does. You're blonde today.
I'm blonde?
Like maybe I'm on the wrong place, Raja. Hold on one
Okay.
second.
Maybe it has a flower.
Yeah, no, it says your name is Josette Pearson.
Oh my
And
God.
there's a blonde with a bob.
I'm logged on from my coworker's account. Okay, I don't know how that happened. I'm gonna have to
It's
figure
okay.
that after. We'll leave it for now, but I'm gonna have to log out. This is craziness. I was on a set the other day.
It's okay. I like it. I think it's comical. Yeah.
That's who
It's
I
just
am
what's
today.
happening. It's just what's happening. Don't worry about it.
Exactly, right? Okay, so this is coming up, and I don't know if this is relevant, so you can chime in. So I was talking to my cousin the other day, and we were speaking about just family and relations, right? We're Indian. We come from the Hindu background, which again, that's also another label.
Mhm.
But we were talking about how even everything we have with family members and all these expectations and attachment, it's really what we call Maya or illusion. Um, I'd love to get your perspective on that because we were speaking about how there's all these just expectations of what we need to be doing, as in serving our parents and family members, which creates so much unnecessary stress when you don't meet those expectations. Yet, all of these relations we have technically are still an illusion.
Yeah, you're right, Rasha. So what seems to occur in collapse is relationships because relating comes from here. Beingness, or that which knows itself intuitively, wholeness, it doesn't need to relate through mind, through belief systems, through positions or expectations. It just relates through itself, which let's just remove the word relate. It's just a natural conversation, no expectations, no intentions or agenda needed. That would be for the mind because the mind lives in lack and it needs things to be a certain way so it can get a bump in a feeling or whatever that is, a confirmation of its sense of separation. There's a codependency with the apparent external. There really isn't an external. So that codependency collapses and there's natural communication. But I got to say, relationships can actually fizzle and fall apart with the seeing of this because there's no longer, beings wrapped around codependency or, oh my God, we're only connecting due to a fear, right? A lot of relationships are just built and motivated out of a fear. So if fear collapses, the relationship may too, or it can seem to blossom or just be completely natural, which obviously can go through what would look like apparent bumps as it smooths out because there's no longer the codependent ties. But beingness doesn't actually need to relate. It's just itself. There can be the surface level conversation, like talking about like your family or what you're doing for the weekend or whatever, but it's like the words are so full. There's a difference in the energy when there's communicating as beingness, so to speak, and not fractalized through the lens of lack or personal doership, if that makes sense.
It does. And when you say relationships may collapse, and that's okay if it happens even with what we call family members,
Oh
right? Like,
gosh,
I have a
absolutely.
non-existent relationship with a brother that is constantly forced, but I just feel like I'm feeling your words, and that's where I'm at. Like
Yeah.
it's collapsed, and it's okay. It's
Yeah.
totally okay in my heart, with my being.
Yeah,
Honestly, I have no attachment.
absolutely. And I gotta say, in the story of Anna, it arose with my sister as well. It's just there's these stories and these ideas of how we're supposed to show up for family, even if let's say they're not healthy or toxic, so to speak.
Yes.
And then all of those ideas collapse. And it's just that's true unconditional love. Unconditional love can't be known through the mind because it's so free. It can appear as a toxic relationship ending or mending. But there's no right or wrong to this. It's the mind that lives in the guilt of I should be a better sister or a mother. And all of those ideas collapse. And there's just falling apart, coming together in a new way. I can't say, yeah, but anything can appear. And again, it's okay. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
I will
It was
return
nice.
to Rasha next time.
I loved it. I loved it. It was beautiful. Super fun. So thank you. Take care, Rasha.
Thanks, Anna.
Mhm. All right. Does it happen to you that you forget that you were doing something and then it's like, oh, what is it to do? No. I mean, it's spontaneous. I don't know what the next moment's going to be. I don't know what the next decision, choice arising is going to be, if that's what you mean. I mean, but you could say forgetfulness arises here. Like, where did I put my keys? Right? Did I feed the dog today? Like, that arises, but you don't forget who you are anymore, so to speak. You never did forget. The dream is I forgot and I need to remember. What I speak to and from is already awake. It's already alive. It never went to sleep. Okay, but this, what we're talking about, is very ordinary here. It's not flashy. It's not special. It's very simple. It's this. You see, chop wood, carry water. Everything's the same. It's just, it's not personal. And because it's not personal, there's not the intense story and projection wrapped around this neutral appearance, so to speak. It's unknowable. But the dream is I know. And when we think we know, the whole concrete show seems to arise, which kind of seems like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day, if you've ever seen that movie. What we're speaking about here is like a continuous rebirth, so to speak. It's not the best word to use, but words are pointers. Nina asks, can you talk a little bit about life supporting life? What does that mean? Well, there is only life. The dream is I'm separate from life. Or there's only God. The dream is I'm separate from God. So of course, life supports itself. Just think of it as like the organism of the body. Everything within this body organism does its best to keep it running whole, healthy, and functioning, so to speak. That's all this. But let's look at the Ouroboros, the snake that eats its own tail. Sometimes a support in life is also a devourment, a destruction, like Kali energy. But when we live in spirituality or religion, we think, oh, it can't be destructive. It can't be suffering. It can't be what we label darkness. No, non-duality is light. It's dark. It's everything. So there is only the support, and that's this, you could say. But sometimes the mind hears the word support as it labels as positivity. No, destruction can also be support. Just like forests that burn themselves down to regenerate for new growth. None of this makes logical sense, but this is all chaos appearing orderly. And this is life speaking to itself. This is a monologue. So that's what I mean. Raph?
Yeah, Raphael.
Okay, that's why I thought it was short for something. What's up, man?
Yeah, hi. First, thanks very much for the message that you're bringing out. Like, ever since I started hearing this stuff, I went ahead and started hearing a bunch of different speakers, and I noticed how it started getting into this sort of seeking again of wanting to understand.
Yeah.
Slowly, a lot of the things have kind of fallen away, and now instead of being so sure about things that I used to be sure about, like positive thinking or you create your own reality, it's more like I don't know. And instead of deep conversations of what things could be, it's like I don't know, maybe I don't know. And it's just been like that. But something that I've noticed is that, like, or something that I've heard is that the seeing or getting to this is not about getting a better life or feeling any better, really. But life has, at least in my perception, life has gotten a lot easier. And the things I run a small business. And before I used to really plan things and try and like look into the futures and learn a lot. And now it's just a lot more relaxed and everything's getting better in a sense.
Yeah, that can arise totally. Yeah, again, because like I was saying, if the character was driven by fear, insecurity and doubt, if that collapses, there can be more relaxation, of course, but the business is still arising, right? Changing the toilet paper roll is still arising. Eating breakfast, if that arises there, is still arising. What stops is the should I be doing something else? Should I be better? Yeah.
A friend, a person that talked a little while ago mentioned about not having to plan to do anything, or like how things just the body continues. And I've noticed that a lot. Sometimes I just sit down and I guess maybe I'm meditating, or maybe I'm just looking at the ceiling or whatever it is. And then I just get that, like, I mean, my body feels like, okay, time to get up and do something. And it's becoming a lot more natural. As in before, I would put a timer, come and go, okay, for these 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes, I must stay here. And that's really gotten a lot loose.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. That's awesome.
So,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Thanks for
to
sharing
talk.
that. Yeah.
No, thank you very much as well.
Yeah. Beautiful. You're welcome.
Hi, Anna.
Hey,
Hey. So,
what's up, Jim?
well, it's so, it's so, well, it seems clear that, it's whatever was just, what's all the same is just appearing different. Is that kind of,
What do you mean by that? Go a little deeper. What do you mean by that?
well, just, I mean, there's only
Oh,
one.
okay. Yeah. Like your invitation, so to speak, obviously is going to appear differently than it seems here. Right.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's just God and there's only one, kind of thing. And but it looks like there's different. So what's the same, which is the same thing, it's not even a thing, but it's a thingless thing. Now it's appearing as things, right? So so it appears to be different.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It appears as all these myriads of expressions, but it's one singular source, of course.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So so it's just in your, well, just like even now, so just now, I should say even now.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's just all the same, right? Is that the kind of the inner gist of it?
What do you
Just
mean by the same, though? I guess I don't get the question. What do you mean
okay,
by the same?
like it's formless, timeless, eternal, not time, that kind of thing. It's just the
Well, it's
one,
unknowable. It's timeless, appears as time, but who and what we are can't be defined or known mentally,
right?
if that's what you
Exactly.
mean. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But it's coming from that unknowable space,
Which is
and
this. Yeah. Yeah.
right, yeah. And so then it becomes whatever in the appearance of what it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But the
Yeah.
dream is, I'm going to know it. I want to know what this is. It just cannot, the mind actually just gives up. And then there's the innocent wonder, and there's no longer the itch to try to grapple what God is anymore.
Right.
You see,
No,
because this doesn't know either. This actually doesn't know at all. I hear the words as they come out of the mouth. I have no idea even what I'm going to say to y'all when we come into Sangha, because there's not much to say. So it's always fascinating that words appear, but we're never, ever going to get on top of it, so to speak. Because that would be boring in a way. I mean, it's unknowable. The reason why it's boring and hard and struggle is because we're trying to get it through the mental cognition. Children aren't trying to do that. That's why they're in whimsy. And even them crying or oscillating through emotions is still the whimsy of it, because emotions aren't theirs yet. You see, they don't know that those emotions are theirs yet. They don't know their name tag yet either fully. The problem with the adult, so to speak, is I know.
right.
I know. I'm serious.
Yeah.
So serious.
Yeah. I guess I'm looking at it from a very or just a
I'm just
simple,
playing, man. I'm just playing with you. Nothing serious going on. Yeah.
I know, but a simple level, like an optical illusion. Like I have a thing that it's go and you can look at it and it looks like there are two different colors on the paper, right? And then when you mask them off, it's obviously they're now the same. It's the same. But when you take the mask off, then they're actually they appear to be different. and there's no getting your mind around, no, they're the same. It just doesn't, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this here, like everything's all the same, but it so looks different that it's the mind can't see.
Well, we're not saying it's the same. We're not saying it's the same at all here.
I know.
Yeah. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is this appearance is unknowable. You're trying to know it by saying it's the same.
Well, it's the same unknowable. I'm just, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. No, you're right. I'm saying it's the same no, but it's sort of that same idea of what is appearing being a knowing, but the sameness is in unknowing.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the sameness is we're all beingness, but beingness has no quality. Yeah. Can't be defined.
Right.
Sure.
So that was kind of my analogy here, of this optical illusion. Is it, when you mask, it's the same, but then when it, anyway, and then it appears different. And so,
I mean, the best example is the rainbow. The rainbow's an illusion. Jim's an illusion and Anna's an illusion. Okay.
Yeah.
The white light that seems to create the hues of consciousness of me and you, that's the knowing. The rainbow, Jim and Anna, can never look back at the white light and know it. Jim and Anna collapses, and then there's just the white light that still appears as the red and the green, or the Anna and the Jim.
Right.
But there's no longer an Anna in the body or a Jim that's trying to figure everything out anymore. That's
that's right. Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I'm saying in a way, because there's it's the same, if you want to say the same white light, but
But that's this. Yeah,
but
it just can't be known.
Light. Yeah, no, there's no
right. But even if we have this,
there's a difference, right? Is the duality term.
Well, it's just this just can't be known through the mind. So even if we're painting a pretty picture, like it's the rainbow or these pretty analogies, that's still a philosophy.
Yeah.
We're talking about the end of even philosophies.
Right.
Because that's boring eventually. That gets very boring because it's still doing this. Here we go, loop-de-loo. Here we go, loop-de-la. We're talking about aliveness, which doesn't even need to go through philosophies. There's nothing wrong with that, but it collapses and then there's just life, which literally, I'm being serious. The need to
rock.
Yeah, to devour non-dual stuff just collapses. What is non-duality anyways? We're just talking about life without the fictitious illusion of I'm controlling life and I need to understand what Anna's saying.
Right.
No one can understand this. That's the greatest news ever. That's what I mean. We're screwed. Like no one's going to get this.
Yeah.
It's such a paradox. It's such a paradox. Yeah.
No, it's great. It's just so clear, really, that the unknowable is what, like, unconditional love there can't be any knowing in unconditional love. It's just completely unknown.
Well, it appears as knowing. It can't know itself mentally through the mind. It's not going to be like, oh, today I know who I am, because I did 80 mantras. No, I mean, this is something that is so sure of itself. It doesn't even need those things.
Right.
Those things can arise and they're beautiful, but it's just not needed anymore. It's a natural, innocent confidence, of course, that was not given to you by this world. Because what was given to you by this world can be taken away.
Oh, it will.
Yeah. And in fact, it actually is not already there again. Yeah, that's the paradox. Yeah.
It's not even here now.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Good to see you. Yeah, questions arise, but the questioner never, ever, ever gets its answer. It actually just dissolves, and what's left can't be defined. So there's nothing wrong with questions, but as you notice, this gets nipped in the butt. Nip, 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 because there is no answer here. It's always like just holding the mirror, holding the mirror. It's the same response, really. But hearing this message over and over again, because it's hilarious. Like every YouTube video, every song, I'm saying the exact same thing. It may appear in a different energy or word or whatever, but it's the same thing every Sunday, folks. And every video, it's this is it. And so if the mind seemingly hears this enough times, it farts out and dies, and it just like gives up, because you end up right where you are. You end up exactly where you are, but without the you thinking, this isn't it. Because that's just all beliefs. Yeah, beliefs is being alive. You move that E to the end of the F, you have be life. And it's just that what looks like that kind of a shift. There really isn't a shift. It just seems like a shift. Going from belief systems to just being life. And that's obviously very frightening for the one who's holding the bar cells, the prison cells, whatever the hell those things are called, of beliefs. It's just looking through those beliefs. You know, if those beliefs aren't working, it changes them and rewrites them into new ones, so to speak. It's all the beloved playing with itself, but it's just beliefs over beliefs, which is really doubt over doubt, over doubt, over doubt, over doubt. End of doubt, the natural innocent confidence, which is rooted in unknowing. And through that wellspring of unknowing is a wisdom that is not of this world. These words are not mine. These words you hear are yours. This voice is yours. This energy is it's ours. It is ours. You can say we're all just megaphones for isness, so to speak. And not everyone's going to resonate with the flavor of this personality, because this message is the same. It has been echoing through the apparent story of humans' time for a long time, so it seems. But each character has a certain flavor, and how it comes out of this may sound different than how it comes out of another character, but it's always the same message. It's very simple. The body still appears, may have aches and pains, may be tired, may be energetic, still bleed, blood appears. It's the same, but what isn't the same is the personal experience. It's not a personal experience anymore. It's impersonal, which obviously can't be taught or truly described in words. These are only words trying to paint that which can't be painted. So that's why I'm not an authority, because it can be very easy to put this on a pedestal. Hack that down now. This is equal, totally equal. I can't tell you who you are, and I can't tell you what to do. No one can. We're all wildflowers, pretending we're in a grocery store refrigerator, you know? And y'all know this intuitively. You're going to have thorns, maybe. Yeah. You may have a hole in one of your petals. So what? Again, nothing lasts. And you know that. And that's the freedom. It's all ephemeral. So you can't lose this. If there's an appearance of seeking or contraction, that's it too. just can't be lost. Hence why it can't be found either, though. Can't lose what you are. You can only lose what you're not. So don't let the forms fool you, not even your own. You're the beloved in disguise. You are heaven in disguise. This confidence is your confidence. It may not be arising right now. So what? You hear you, you see you. Yeah. So Marina, we'll have this be probably the last question here. So there is no questions about situations just happening. Moving through what feels good to do each moment. No thinking about what I can do in a situation. No, all this whole question here is stemming from the position that you have free will and choice. No. Again, anything can arise. You're like, hey, where'd I put my car keys? Oh, scrambling to find, oh my God, they're there. Holy shit. You see? But what to do as a good person, the right way to be, all of that stuff collapses. All those anxieties collapse because that's for the person. We're talking about the end of doubt again. When there's doubt, a wellspring of questions arise of, was that the right thing to eat, right thing to wear, right thing to say, the right job? There's no free will or choice. But what appears could be quitting a job. What's wrong with that? But there's no longer the guilt and shame and insecurity of the person trying to make the right choice. Like the whole world depends on it. Nothing depends on anything. All of that collapses. Nothing's important. Nothing has any meaning or purpose, only for the person. So when that's been stripped, who's there to be anxious about the job? Of course, there can be anger about like not having a resonance with it, which could be a movement into filling out applications. But that's all just what's happening. That's already the case. It's already spontaneity. The dream is the filter of, what do I do? Doubt, shame, guilt, insecurity, fear. There's a right and a wrong way to be. Says who? Again, this message isn't selling comfort. We're not selling uncomfortable either. We're just talking about what is. Chop wood, carry water, which could be getting a new job, leaving a relationship, getting married, eating cupcakes, watching the football game, flipping off the football game. What stops is the tension and the stress of the Bible of right or left, good or bad, yes or no, someone tell me what to do. That collapses, of course. But there can be disagreements with a coworker. I mean, why can't that arise? We're not talking about, walking on water and just constantly being in some kind of ecstatic state all the time. That's a state. States come and go, they're ephemeral. We're speaking about this isn't arising for anyone. The job loss isn't for someone. The pain in the shoulder isn't arising for someone. When someone's there, it's mine, and there's a complete story wrapped around it. That's what stops the story, the commentary. Very natural, very authentic, which could be crying at a commercial. Wonderful. Beautiful, beautiful. All righty, friends. We'll be meeting back here next Sunday, same time, same place. I'll post about it. I'll have the recording up probably within an hour or two. So yeah, if you want to come back next Sunday, we'll be here. Unless we're not, you'll find out. I'll let you know, but that's the plan. Okay. So thank you all. I love you. Take care. You're all beautiful. You're all powerful.
Thank you, Anna.
Bye, everyone.
Take care, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
Anna.